are listening to I Am Refocused Radio with your host, Shamaya Reed. This show is designed to inspire you to live your purpose and regain your focus. And now, here's your host, Shamaya Reed.
Hey, welcome to I Am Refocused Radio. Once again, today, just like any other time, we have an amazing show lined up for y'all. Today, I want to welcome our special guest. We have Kayla Logue with us. She is a motivational speaker, a best-selling author. She's passionate about being an advocate for personal transformation. She is the founder of the nonprofit Move Into Words, and this organization is something that you want to learn a lot about. So first and foremost, I want to welcome you, Kayla, to the show and say how you doing today.
I'm doing great. Thank you so much for having me. I'm excited to be here.
I appreciate your time. I know you have a recent book that you recently debuted, Always Squeezing Lemons. That quickly gained some momentum, and it's a #1 release on Amazon, so congrats on that. But first and foremost, for our audience, kind of explain a little bit about your professional background, because I know you have an amazing story.
Yeah, so professionally, it's quite diverse. I went to school for broadcast and journalism. Communications was my main background, and journalism writing, but I wanted to do more on-air stuff, and that quickly shifted. I ended up doing corporate communications. I ended up managing Pilates studios. I started some social media companies, so really had quite a diverse background, kind of right off the rip. And I lived in the DC metro area for a while and got a lot of that experience there, and kind of transformed my whole life. I know we all probably have some crazy COVID stories and experiences, but it was really kind of that awakening for me. There was a lot of personal things and even professional development that I, felt really capped out at, and completely made the decision. And, I was married, got a divorce, left the houses, pretty much just left everything, and moved to North Carolina. Kind of bounced around, saw family, friends, started a business during COVID. And then from there, I started working in real estate. And for the past 3.5 years, I worked for a land development company, found a lot of personal, professional development success along those lines. And this year, of course, launched my book. I also started the nonprofit Move Into Words. We can kind of dive in like how that all started. And then now opening Pilates studios. So kind of doing a full circle. But, when it comes down to professionally, I've experienced quite a bit. And it's really been over the past, 6-7 years. And now I'm really dialing in the space that I'm really passionate about, which is that health and wellness.
I love that, because topic for today will be redefining success, and being able to go through all those different chapters in your journey becoming the success you are today. It takes a process. It takes learning a little bit about your why, what you're here on this earth to do. As you are developing your brand still, even today, having new ventures, what are some of the common threads you've been able to keep in your core, as far as like as a reminder, this is why I'm doing this? Because like I said, things happen, life happens, and squeezing lemons, man, is a process.
Right. And, it's interesting because, growth is a never ending process. And each day I find something more that motivates me, or something new that I'm interested in and intrigued in and want to learn more about. But where I really started finding clarity in like my why and where I find success, and really it's a daily basis. If I wake up and I'm healthy, I'm able to spend time with the people I love, serve them to my best ability, I feel like I'm doing something great, right? But if I'm not reaching my full potential, then I'm doing everyone a disservice. And in order to do that, my mental and physical health are a huge priority. And physically, I've been an athlete my whole life. So, working out and being in that space has never it's been a challenge. I love pushing myself, right? But it's been a habit. Whereas the mental side of it, I never really ventured into. I always had kind of what I call the athlete mentality, rub some dirt on it, suck it up. So when I had problems, I just pushed them aside rather than processing them, until I started journaling. And it was the summer of 2020 when I started journaling. And that's really when clarity, self-actualization, just everything started to become more easy, I guess, in a sense, like seamless. And I understood, why I would act a certain way or how I really felt. I was able to really uncover those thoughts rather than just pushing them aside. And from there, I was able to heal from things that bothered me for years, And that's become a really big thing that's deeply rooted into everything that I'm even doing now. With Move Into Words, that's journaling is a huge tool we advocate for. But I'm able to really bring myself back to that why when I do put pen to paper as well.
Yeah, that's on Refocused Radio, talking to our guest today, Kayla Logue. Go to her website, KaylaLogue.com. And speaking of journaling, you have a Operation 1 Million Journals. I read that in your bio as well. Tell us a little bit about how that is connected to your nonprofit, Move Into Words, and how that is helping not just you, but also the community you're building.
Yeah. So, I mean, it truly is a life-changing practice, and it's really what we founded Move Into Words on originally. So combining the mental and physical health habits aspect of it. And this is the first year we've launched Move Into Words. And what we've done is we're really prioritizing cultivating a community for young professionals to thrive. So bringing growth mindseted individuals together that really want to become the best leader of their own lives and want a supportive environment to do so. And so right now we do really quarterly events, which of course we want to expand massively, where we do, a workout for the body and a workshop for the mind. And we provide journals for everyone. So we talk about the tools of, why journaling can be practical, why it's something you can do free. It's easy. It's simple. Take 5 minutes a day, and how life-changing it truly can become. So our newest fundraising initiative, as you said, is Operation 1 Million Journals. And really what it is, it's $10 donation equals one journal for one young professional, right? So we say young professionals, it's really young leaders, people that really just want to be better in their lives. They know that they have more potential. They know that they're meant for more, but they're just feeling kind of stuck and suffocated and kind of what we call society's ingrained programming. And journaling does really allow you to be creative. It allows you to be free. It allows you to be vulnerable with yourself. And until you're able to do that for yourself, you can't do it for anybody else. So, that initiative is super impactful for us because we know how impactful myself and my co-founder, we know how much it's changed our lives. And we're obviously on a huge mission to change 1 million plus lives of other young leaders too.
And before we talk a little bit about your recent book, Always Squeezing Lemons, I read also in your bio that you're doing pretty big things in Charlotte when it comes to real estate background. How do you have seen that play a role in not just the responsibility you have as a brand owner, but also the ability to lead and market what you're doing?
So, in real estate, anybody that knows it, anybody that really works in sales, you don't get paid unless you work, right? So, there's so many different skills that go into that. And unless you're talented with communicating with people, with really, those personal skills, building relationships, getting them to trust you, and not inauthentically, but authentically getting them to trust you, and working with them and continuing to build relationships and those type of referrals. It definitely builds those type of just personal skills and relationship skills. But when it comes down to leadership, unless you take control of your own actions, your daily schedules, and prioritizing things, you're just not going to be successful. And I fortunately was able to prioritize all that. And, when it came down to the sales side of stuff, I didn't really know the product very well. I didn't work in real estate when I first started. I was very green to it. I went through real estate school, but the style of real estate I've worked in has been very niche, and no one really wants to help you. They want all the money for themselves. So coming into kind of a shark eats shark, very male dominated industry, I had to teach myself a lot of stuff. But the reason I excelled was because I was very good at communicating. I was very good at building relationships. And that alone gave me a lot of confidence in really everything else that I'm doing. I know I can make money. I know how to make money. It's now transitioning those skills and the things I've learned on that level and bringing into things that I'm even more passionate about and know I can make more of an impact with.
2 words I want to highlight there that you mentioned: confidence and passion. Is one thing to have something that gets you excited when you wake up in the morning and say, okay, rain or shine, this is what I've been meant to do. This is what I'm going to do. But confidence is a whole nother thing. When it comes to, like I said earlier, about responsibility, how do you see responsibility and confidence working together with a young professional and how they are perceived from the outside world?
Well, and I think it comes down to really kind of the overall mindset shift that should turn into the habit and the way you live. And it actually summarizes my book pretty well in one takeaway, being when you realize you can be the cause, problem, and solution for everything in your life, your world changes. And it's an entire radical responsibility type of view, right? You focus on what's in your control and what you can do to control what's in your control rather than everything outside of it. And sometimes it's not comfortable. It's forcing yourself to have those hard conversations. It's forcing yourself to make those hard decisions. But when you do that, you build confidence, and confidence is like a muscle. It's not just something you're born with, right? It's something you have to work. It takes resilience to build. It takes time. It takes energy. And the more you do those hard things, the more you commit to doing those hard things, and the more you take responsible and own even your mistakes, no matter what they are, the easier it gets, right? And it's just the same thing. Like when you just start lifting weights, it's hard. It sucks. But the more strength you build, the easier it becomes, the more habitual it becomes. And it's really very in line with confidence and responsibility. Like you can't really take responsibility for your life if you're not confident in what you're doing. They go hand in hand. But having that radical responsibility view, like, no, what can I control and what do I need to own up to? Like, where am I at? And just prioritizing that's really important.
Having the fitness background, this has always been a hot topic during the pandemic, and that is mental health. And you also being a mental health advocate, what are some of the things you see are able to encourage people in that way of prioritizing not just their fitness lifestyle, but also incorporating the core principles for a healthy mind?
Yeah. And I mean, a healthy body to me equals a healthy mind. So that's the starting point, of course, right? But if we're focusing on just kind of the mental side, and I actually write in my third chapter of my book, I titled it Catch Me If You Can. And I talk about the story through COVID when I was going through a lot, going through divorce, like completely started over, had no idea what I was doing with my life, no direction at all, COVID shut down. It was kind of a crazy time. And I found myself running for miles and miles. And I played softball and I was a swimmer. I was never a long distance runner. And I just realized I was just outrunning my thoughts or trying to outrun them. And then my sister, she was the one that actually was a huge advocate for me starting a journal. And I really actually was very reluctant to it. I thought it was the stupidest idea. I was like a 25-year-old with a long overdue diary. No, thank you. And of course, when I did it, I was like, wow. Okay, this really does allow me to start opening up, right? And getting to the point kind of prioritizing mental health. For me, journaling allows me to be very honest with myself. There's, it doesn't require me to talk to somebody about stuff that maybe I'm even uncomfortable about admitting to myself. I just put it on paper. I can burn it if I want, right? But it's nice to keep those records. But I think no matter what it is, we have to be honest with ourselves, whether it's writing it down, whether it's talking to somebody, whether it's finding an accountability buddy. We can't push it away. No matter how deep or dark it is, we have to purge it. We have to heal from it. If we can't purge it and heal from it, we're never going to be able to be vulnerable for ourselves. We also aren't going to be able to forgive ourselves. And that's going to build a lot of resentment towards ourselves, which then ultimately projects onto other people. So finding a way to really just prioritize, letting things go.
When you look at the opportunities to be on different platforms, to not just share your story, but share your journey as an entrepreneur, as a successful entrepreneur and successful background professional, you've been able to have ability to speak in front of people, keynotes and workshops. Kind of touch on that, how that experience has been like for you. Were you at first nervous? Because when people do TED Talks and stuff, they're like, man, I'm nervous, but this is something you just get over with and you just kind of push yourself through it. What has that been like for you, being able to have that platform to be in front of people and speaking?
Yeah, I mean, there's definitely, you get nervous, right? I mean, I think it's anything that you're excited about too. I'm a fast talker. And so I get anxious and I'm going 100 miles an hour and I have to take a bunch of deep breaths, or I will just be spitting off details faster than anybody can comprehend. But I love it. I am such a proponent for in-person. I love that we can do so many things online, the accessibility that we have, but I haven't been able to get on board with doing much online, because it's just the connectivity portion for me is so important. And I love being in front of tons of people. I love meeting new people. I'm the person that'll go to a restaurant and sit there by myself and make friends with everyone there. And so when it comes down to especially things that I'm really passionate about, when it comes down to really digging deep and finding your purpose, finding your why and living through that and really, defining success on your own terms and pulling out those things that maybe you're scared of, it takes, that personal connection. It takes that energy that you can't feel unless you're in the somebody. So I love it. I mean, I absolutely love getting in front of as many people as possible. I resonate a lot with colleges and university students. It's such an interesting and confusing time. And, really when I think back to, I understand completely why, but I think back to when I was in college, like I wish I had somebody telling me everything I'm telling them. It gives them permission to screw up a little bit. We've all got to fail to figure it out. Yeah, I love it. I do get nervous.
You listen to Refocused Radio, talking to our guest today, Kayla Logue. Go to her website, KaylaLogue.com. I just want to make a little note, too. I still get nervous, man. I started this YouTube journey visually earlier this year in September, and I'm an introvert. So imagine that. I'm so extroverted now. It's crazy. But when you think about the success you've been able to have in Charlotte, going back to that, also in your bio that you are Charlotte's top 30, under 30 future leaders. You've been recognized as that. It's one way to articulate your vision and who you are as a person and how people perceive you based on, your performance and your structure and presentation. What do you think are some of the core ingredients that has allowed you to open all these opportunities for yourself with Charlotte locally, being able to have people watch you and your growth and say, okay, this woman is serious with what she's doing?
So in terms of qualities, definitely confidence. If you know people around me that have worked with me, they know my confidence is unmatched. And the fact that if I don't know how to do something, I figure it out and I build confidence on it and I do whatever I can to become the absolute best at it, at my ability, right? And then I also prioritize the things that I know I'm good at, and then I'm good at delegating things that, hey, this is taking a lot of time, not great at it. Let me find somebody to help me. So I think really, being able to know where my strengths are and then bringing other people on that can help where I may be weak to bring me up to my strengths. And then honestly, just the resilience. I have delusional goals and I'm proud of it, because what seemed like delusional goals a couple years ago to me, I've achieved every single one of them. And, of course there's realistic things in between. You don't think huge, absolutely huge, truly succeed. So in the resilience part, I just won't stop. I'll keep going. And so I think those two. And then quite frankly, I'm just a very authentic, genuine person. I'll tell you how it is. And I have no problem, if I feel some type of way, sharing it. And people love that rawness, no matter what that may be. But I always also have the best interest in others. And that genuinely does come across.
And going back to your nonprofit, you being the founder of Move Into Words, kind of because I saw a social media post with the health and fitness background and behind the scenes, kind of explain a little bit further for the audience and our viewers. What are some of the things that you do in that community? And if someone's local in Charlotte wants to be a part of that, and if it's open to outside of Charlotte, how can people learn more about the resources you have for them to learn about it?
Yeah, so it's open to anybody. Right now, we are only based in Charlotte, but we're going to be starting up our quarterly, hopefully more so bi-quarterly events this year in Charlotte. We're working on some really big things to grow it much further. But our first event's actually be February 8th. And so we have Move Into Words Instagram, we have moveintowords.com where all our events are listed for sign up. Like I said, we have the workout for the body, workshop for the mind. So we do some sort of physical activity. And whether we've done yoga, we've done boxing, we've done kind of a HIIT style. Our first event's actually going to be mat Pilates in February. And so we bring, a highly qualified instructor. We put on an event that's for all levels of all physical activity. And then we bring a motivational speaker, or actually this first event that we're going to do a podcast style panel host. And we cover a specific topic that's kind of hot in the mental health industry that we discuss. Really, it's very interactive. So we've done anxiety, we've done confidence, we've done, self-awareness in relationships. The first one we're going to do is about burnout and resilience. So we really mix it up. But the main point is to bring people together that want to amplify their lives, and they want more people in their network that also want the same. So yeah, anybody's welcome. We are planning to grow rapidly. So we're working really heavily this year to be extremely prominent nonprofit in the Charlotte area, and then start expanding through the Southeast and nation in years to come.
And speaking of burnout, not to open the can of worms for another episode for a podcast, but just think about your personal story you shared earlier in the interview. Let's address one thing. This show will be out. It'll be the last show of 2024 before the new year. So as people are thinking about the new year, new me, I'm sure people are getting better at it and a little bit more self-aware. But understanding burnout and the pressures of life, that it comes unannounced sometimes. It just boom knocks on your door and you just have to deal with it. What are some of the things you're carrying on into 2025 as learning experiences to help feel your motivation to say, all right, I've seen this before. I've seen this pattern. I'm going to be mature and I'm going to hit these home runs because I know what this, potential issue or trouble looks like, and I'm not going to allow it to hinder my growth.
As simple as possible. 2 words that help me a lot when it comes down to burnout, because a lot of the times burnout comes from just being overwhelmed. We just have too much on our plate and we're letting things in that we shouldn't be. And so simplifying and prioritizing. So you cut all the fat, you don't need these things, and keeping your priorities straight. What are your priorities, and building your schedule around that. And then if something else comes in, saying no to it. If it's not a part of your priorities, if it's not building you towards your goals, say no. And no is hard, but saying yes to something that you should have said no to is 1,000 times harder, because it comes down to saying one word or wasting a bunch of time, energy, and effort on something or somebody that should have been a no in the first place. So really focusing on, what is it that you want to do? What is it that you want to accomplish? And staying in that lane. And letting anything else in that's going to fog that's where burnout comes from, because you're putting your energy and effort into stuff that you shouldn't be doing.
What's interesting? I always sometimes go off script. I don't really have a script. I just have some notes. But what you just said makes me think a question. Why do we get so excited about the new year instead of a new day? Like, we woke up this morning. What's the major difference between a new year versus a new day? Because I'll let you have the floor, but I had someone on earlier this year and they talked about the power of being the now, live in this moment now, because you're creating your future right now versus if you always are preoccupied about what you can't control in the future, or you're worried about what happened to you in the past, well, you might just ruin this moment of what you have right now.
I couldn't agree more. And I think the psychology of the new year, right? It's a reset. But also we all know, everyone's new year, new me. And then 30 days in, they do the dry January, or, they do a couple workouts, and then they go back to their same old habits, which is the word, right? A habit starts when you choose to start it and you commit to it, right? Within 30 days, you can form a new habit, but you have to commit to it for 30 days. But in your mind too, and this is the psychology of many different things too, if you're I'm only going to do this for 30 days, okay, then you're only going to do it for 30 days. But that's where the one more comes in, right? So you're say you wanted to stop drinking, right? And I know many people that have completely quit drinking off of this mentality, my partner being one of them. And I'm not going to have one for another day. It's not today. One more day, right? And that one more keeps going, right? And over time, it just becomes a habit. Same thing with working out. I'm going to go today, right? I'm going to keep doing it. And so that consistency of choosing to do it in the moment is where real change happens. It's not in the new year, you know? And like when I was thinking about doing a workshop, I was just so much time, and I might do it at some point, but I was going to do like new year, real you, because, you know, new me, like, you're not reborn, right? But committing to being the real version of yourself in terms of committing to doing the things that you want, defining what you want, whole different story, right? Getting really true and intentional with those goals, not what you feel like you have to do, right? But yeah, no, I mean, I could talk for hours about that.
Well, once again, being listening on Refocused Radio and talking to our special guest today, Kayla Logue. Go to her website, KaylaLogue.com. You also make sure you support what she's doing the new year, support her nonprofit, support her book, Always Squeezing Lemons. You can get that anywhere they sell books. But we might have to have you on, man, in the future. We talk about more about what's going on with moving to words and everything you're doing on the health side, because it's great to see people like yourself committed to excellence, and that's what it's about. Sometimes you got to surround yourself with some of the best and brightest, and I think you being part of this platform is a great light for those who are looking to better themselves. So I want to say thank you to you taking time off your calendar to talk to us, and we appreciate your time.
Yeah, absolutely. I've absolutely enjoyed it for sure.